Donald Bruce Mackay, the 13th of September 1933 to 15 July 1977, was an Australian businessman, a prominent anti-drugs campaigner who came to media attention and fame in 1977 through the circumstances of his murder that has never been solved. Personal life and background. Mackay was born in Griffith and raised in Sydney. He and his family ran a local furniture business called Mackay's Furniture. His wife Barbara, 1935 to 2001, was an active member of the Uniting Church in Griffith and directed a great number of musicals for young children in Griffith, including Spindles and the Lamb and It's Cool in the Furnace. Today, the Mackay family still has a property in Griffith. Donald Mackay's son, Paul, runs the family furniture store. In 1974, Mackay stood as a Liberal Party candidate for the House of Representatives against Al Grassby in the seat of Riverina. He also stood for political office in 1973 and 1976 but was never elected. However, his preferences went to the Country Party candidate Don Sullivan, allowing him to unseat Grassby. Lead up to murder. Concerned about the growing drug trade in his local area, and learning of a large crop of marijuana in nearby Coleambally, Mackay informed Sydney Drug Squad detectives, resulting in several arrests and the conviction of 4 men of Italian descent. At the trial of the arrested men, Mackay was identified as the whistleblower. An attempt was made to lure Mackay to Jerilderie by Mr. Adams, who wished to make a large order of furniture from Mackay's family business. Mackay, busy with other matters, sent employee Bruce Pursehouse to meet Adams, who did not approach Pursehouse. This is believed to have been an attempt to assassinate Mackay. Pursehouse later identified a man he had seen at Jerilderie as a suspect in the Mackay killing. Evening of Mackay's murder. On 15 July 1977, Mackay disappeared from a hotel car park after having drinks with friends and has never been found. Stains from his blood group were evident on his van and the ground nearby, and his car keys were underneath the van. Nearby were drag marks, hair, and 3 spent .22 caliber cases. The Woodward Royal Commission found that the 6 prime suspects to the murder all had convenient alibis. On the night of the murder, Tony and Dominic Sergi, nominated as principal suspects by the Woodward Royal Commission, were on a pub crawl in Griffith with a number of police officers. Giuseppe and Rocco Barbaro went to Sydney and then the Gold Coast, not returning to Griffith until the 20th of July. Francesco Barbaro, brother-in-law of Tony Sergi and cousin of Savero Barbaro, who was arrested 3 months earlier of marijuana production, stayed at the Griffith Ex-Servicemen's Club, and Robert Trimble was at Randwick, Sydney, at a restaurant. Mackay's disappearance made headlines around the nation and many, such as Griffith's supervisor of detectives James Bindon, drew the conclusion that gangland figure Robert Trimble was responsible for the apparent contract-style killing. Trimble had previously made death threats against Mackay. The killing fueled the perception of Griffith as full of mobsters and Australia's marijuana capital. Woodward Royal Commission. The Mackay case led to the then Premier Neville Wran appointing Justice Philip Woodward to lead the Woodward Royal Commission into the illegal drug trade in New South Wales. In 1979, Woodward found that Mackay had been murdered by a hitman acting on instructions from the Honoured Society, a Griffith-based cell of the Ndrangheta, a Calabrian criminal organisation. Justice Woodward, in his final report, concluded that the members of this organisation involved in Mackay's murder were Francesco Sergi, born 24 January 1935, Dominic Sergi, born 3 March 1939, Antonio Sergi, born 4 February 1950. Antonio Sergi, born 29 October 1935. Francesco Barbaro, born 8 September 1937. And Robert Trimble, born 19 March 1931. Justice Woodward requested for police to search Griffith's grass castles, but this was denied. Aftermath of Mackay's murder. In 1980, Al Grassby was charged with criminal defamation when it was alleged that he had asked New South Wales state politician Michael Marr to read in the New South Wales Legislative Assembly a document that imputed Mackay's wife Barbara and her family solicitor were responsible for Mackay's disappearance. An inquiry by John Nagle Q.C. found that no decent man could have spread scurrilous lies that Grassby had. Grassby maintained his innocence and fought a 12-year battle in the courts before he was eventually acquitted on appeal in August 1992 and was awarded $180,000 in costs. Grassby had already lost a civil suit filed by Barbara Mackay, forcing him to unconditionally apologize. In 1984, the coroner ruled Mackay had died of willfully inflicted gunshot wounds. In 1986, hitman James Frederick Baisley was charged over the death. Baisley claimed he was innocent, blaming allegedly corrupt former Sydney detective Fred Crahay as the killer, but was convicted of conspiring with Gianfranco Tizzone, Robert Trimble, George Joseph and unknown other persons to murder Mackay, as well as the murders of drug couriers Douglas and Isabel Wilson. He was sentenced to life imprisonment. Gianfranco Tizzone, who turned informer in 1983, admitted to his complicity in Mackay's murder. Specifically, Tizzone admitted that he arranged for a hitman he knew as Fred to undertake the contract. When shown photographs of possible suspects, Tizzone fingered James Frederick Baisley as the trigger man. In July 2012, 35 years after his disappearance, the New South Wales police offered a $200,000 reward for information on the whereabouts of Mackay. The reward was considered a last-ditch attempt to gain evidence from reluctant witnesses, in particular those of James Frederick Baisley, who is 86 and unwell. However, in the rare moments he has broken his silence, Baisley denied he was the killer. Legacy. The annual Donald Mackay Churchill Fellowship was inaugurated in 1987. The Churchill Trust awards a Donald Mackay Fellowship annually for journalists and detectives to study methods of investigating and bringing to light organized crime. In late 2008, the Rotary Club of Griffith erected a memorial in Banner Avenue, the main street of Griffith, to honor the 30th anniversary of Donald Mackay's murder. The statue of Donald Mackay itself is a white marble bust with a plaque inscribed with "All that is necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing." Quote, media. Australian actor Andrew McFarlane portrayed him in the 2009 television series Underbelly, A Tale of Two Cities. Notes. Bottom. Bob. 1988. Shadow of Shame. How the Mafia Got Away with the Murder of Donald Mackay. Victoria, Australia. Sun Books. ISBN 0-7251-05585-5. The Hit. Courtroom TV Crime Library. The Assassination of Mr. Donald Mackay. Legislative Council Hansard. Extract. Mafia killers escape justice as new Mackay inquiry rejected. Adelaide Now. Donald Mackay at Find a Grave.